I am Khar. My job is stone. Chiseling, tapping, grinding.
I touch stone so much every day that I am more familiar with its cracks than with human faces.
That morning, the weather was so dry that the ground cracked in patches, and every step sent dust billowing up like smoke.
The hunters asked me to go check the pits. They needed someone who could spot good rocks. When they reached the third pit, the leader stopped abruptly. There's no animal down there.
We both stuck our heads out to look. In the darkness at the bottom of the pit were patches of grayish white.
I looked for a while before I recognized a familiar shape. Ribs, arm bones, skulls. Humans.
I'm cursed. Some backed away for fear of the spirit. No one wanted to go down, but then the leader gave the signal.
At the bottom of the pit, I sat down first.
The skeleton was almost dry, its left hand slightly raised, as if it was covering something.
Fallen! Dead! Dead for a long time! Cover it up! Everyone nodded very quickly, as if they wanted to leave this place as soon as possible.
But my eyes stopped at the skull. There was a long crack, with strangely sharp edges.
I had seen human bones crushed by rocks, but those cracks were usually large, deflected, like rocks being...
I looked down at the arm bone. It was broken inward, very similar to the position of raising the arm to cover the head.
If someone had fallen in alive, this soft pit would have had some scratches. But there were none here.
Someone above called down. Khar! Leave it there! Come up!
I lightly touched the dead man's wrist bone. It felt cold and light, like a dry branch.
Its fracture was clear in my mind, like the fracture of a stone blade that someone had hit hard in the wrong direction. I stood up, climbed up, but my heart was beating slowly and heavily.
Everyone was going back to camp, talking about hunting, water, and dried meat.
Me get big mammoth. We eat good tonight.
My mind was thinking only of one thing. This person didn't fall. This person was beaten to death by someone.
And what chilled me the most was, that person was most likely walking with us, walking with the crowd, pretending not to know anything.
I didn't sleep that night. The tribe fell asleep quickly after a long day, but I lay staring up at the roof of the... Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that sharp crack. It was unlike any other fall I had ever seen. Finally, I took a small torch and walked alone toward the pit. I wasn't afraid of the dark.
I was used to being alone with rocks and bones. What I feared.
The pit was colder that night than during the day.
I climbed down, placed the torch in a crack in the earth so the flame wouldn't flicker too much.
Then I sat down next to the skeleton, like sitting next to a job in progress. I started with the arm bone.
I touched it very lightly. The bone was brittle, but still strong enough to read its story.
The fracture curved inward, and the broken part had small pieces that were chipped off.
This only happens when the force comes from above, the hand is raised to block, the bone is compressed and then broken. I tried to raise my hand in that exact position.
I moved to the skull. The front had a long crack, running from top to bottom, and the crack edges gathered at one point.
I had been sharpening stones all my life, so I recognized it right away. It was a blow, not a fall. If I had fallen from the edge of the pit, the force would have been slanted sideways. But this was very straight, clean, directional.
I looked down at the ribs. There were 2 fractures, close together.
I let out a small breath, not to reassure,
but because I knew it would make things worse. This person lay still, cold, as if unconscious or dead before hitting the bottom. From there, I imagined the scene. A blow to the head, a push, silence at the bottom of the pit. I grabbed the torch and climbed up. The night wind blew across my neck, making me cold. Not because of fear, but because of a very clear feeling.
In our tribe, there is someone who knows how to kill without leaving a mark. And he thinks no one in the world can see it.
But the bones tell me. I returned to camp, lay down by the fire, but did not sleep.
I just looked at my hands. Hands that had spent their lives knocking on rocks, and that these hands would have to pursue the truth.
The next morning, the tribe held a hasty ceremony for the dead.
A handful of coals, some dried meat, a few small prayers.
No one wanted to look at them for too long. People feared what they did not understand.
But I knew, Earth only covers things, not traces. When everyone left, I went around to the back of the pit alone.
If someone stood near the pit, the soil would remember. Just 2 steps.
One footprint was slightly tilted, the foot imprinted deeper toward the left edge.
I had seen this step many times in camp. The step of a man who had a bad right foot.
I touched the edge of the ground where there were traces of drag. They were drag marks, not animal tracks. I walked a few steps further, crouching down in a low patch of bushes.
These were not stones that had broken themselves. They had been recently broken to create a sharp edge. The edge of the stone had been tapped at the right angle, a technique only a few people in the tribe knew.
I returned to camp as the tent was being repaired. I walked past the men's toolbox.
Who are you looking for? I asked again. Has the old stonemason returned? He's been gone for a few days. Everyone uses Rook's tools now.
I heard, and turned to look at the corner of the camp. Rook, or the new stonemason Fur, was sharpening his knives.
Its striking angle. How to create a thin edge.
Rook couldn't do it before. Now it was different. The edge was too sharp. That's good.
Where did you learn this technique?
I watched. The stone showed me how to do it.
I went to where Rook often sat. There were a few very faint dark brown streaks on the stone surface. It was dried blood. I had finished assembling the pieces. A good stonemason disappeared. And now, that technique was in Rook's hands.
He didn't just take the technique. He took lives.
I decided not to say anything to anyone. If I opened my mouth without being sure, the whole tribe would think I was jealous of the profession.
Or worse, they would think I was making up stories to drag Ruck down. In our time, there were no rules. There was only prestige.
So I watched. I stood closer to Rook, not to make friends, but to see how he touched the stone.
One afternoon, he was carving a new blade. I stood behind him, pretending to pick up stones.
He did too well. Too much like the old stonemason. I asked quietly, "This edge is thin. Why doesn't it break?" I know how to hit it. Don't hit it hard. You have to slide it a little to the side.
It was a technique that only one of the clan knew how to do. A wolf, the one who had disappeared.
I tried to say, you learn quickly. When I want something, I will get it. Those were not the words of an apprentice. They were the words of a successful imitator.
That night, I brought a long piece of animal bone to his tent. I pretended to ask him to show me the knife mark left on the bone.
He took out the newly sharpened knife and drew a line on the bone.
Depth, width, direction of the mark, sweep angle, exactly like the mark on the human bone in the pit.
I felt like someone had hit me hard in the chest. Not because I was afraid of him, but because I know 100%.
I recall, if your knife can make this mark, can your knife make the same mark on other bones?
All bones are the same. If you want to try, bring them.
In the evening, I pretended to be like every day, but my eyes watched Rook from afar, like someone waiting to be called important.
The one who makes good tools will be favored, get more meat, and stand near the clan leader, the old stonemason.
I spoke slowly, very slowly. This knife handle is not like yours. The corner of Rook's eye twitched once. I looked back. Rook had followed me, his eyes not of someone who was being suspected. My hands weren't used to holding spears or fighting, but my hands were used to reading signs. And this time the sign tomorrow I would speak, in front of the chief, in front of the whole clan. Bones don't lie, stones don't lie, only people lie.